What's up, guys? This is Fitness Tips by Abdul Sabri. Now today my tip's going to be for you guys is basically about doing squats. All right, and there's always been a lot of questions about people that's beginners, that's want to know about squats, that's want to know about doing exercises in the gyms and what have you. So my advice here to you guys, for all you beginners, when you're doing squats, start out, there's two different types of squats that you basically want to try to be familiar with. One of them is called bucket squats or parallel squats. Parallel squats, also perfect squats. The parallel squats and perfect squats are basically like one and the same. But they basically only characterize most squats as being two different squats, which is the perfect squats or either the bucket squats. The bucket squats are basically, they are not parallel, but you drop below the bottom, below the 90-degree range. Both squats are very good for the quads. One puts a lot more heavy impression on the quads, which is the ones which are the bucket squats. Now, so my tip for you, all you beginners, when you want to start working out, doing squats and things of that nature, first try to squat without a bar, without dumbbells. You want to do what they call biometrics or either body squats. This is weights on body weight. Basically, you're using your own body weight to actually do the squats with. All right, and so what you want to do is, and then I'm going to turn sideways in a second so you can actually see what I'm actually doing. And so you can see the parallel mark and also the bucket squats. The squats are very beneficial for everyone overall as far as working out. They give you a lot of benefits as far as they use a lot of muscles to actually correlate together to actually do one specific exercise, which gives you a lot of benefits. And in doing these squats, you want to make sure you recognize two different things. One is your form. Your form has to be very good. You want to make sure you critique your form as much as possible. You want to have your chest stuck out, and this with the guys or the females. It doesn't make any difference. But your chest needs to be stuck out for one. And the other thing is when you squat, you want to push your butt out as much as you can, like you're trying to put your butt on something, like you're trying to sit on a chair or something behind you. And it's a little bit far away from you, so you want to stick it out as far as you can to try to actually touch that seat behind you. And that allows your feet to be parallel, or your knees to be parallel with your feet, so your knees don't actually go over your feet. So once your knees actually go over your feet, you're in a position where you don't want to be in. They tend to hurt your knees and cause all kind of problems for your knees, so you don't want to do that. So that's a definitely no-no for actually doing squats, for even for people who are professionals, who have been doing it for a long duration of time. Sometimes even these guys and females that have been doing it for a long period of time, they've been doing it for so long, but they have been doing it wrong for so long. So my advice to you guys, just to go back and just make sure that when you first start out doing these squats, or these bucket squats, or doing parallel squats, make sure that your form is correct prior to proceeding on to like barbell squats, putting the bar on your neck, or either using dumbbells. Kettlebell squats is a very good squat to actually use also. So those three are very good to do. But first and foremost, you want to make sure that your form is correct. Now, so I'm gonna do a couple squats and just show you what I mean by the form and what's parallel and what's in the bucket. All right, so turning sideways so you can see. I'm going to step out far enough, or hopefully that you can see me, guys, from this standpoint that I'm in right now. So you want to actually put your feet shoulder length apart. On this, when you're very first starting out, try to make sure that your feet are shoulder length apart. Don't put them outside the range of your shoulders at all. Bring them in shoulder length apart for me. And then from that point, you want to make sure in the form aspect of it, you want to make sure that you're not looking down when you're squatting. Try to focus on something like directly in front of you, or maybe a little bit higher above you. And so that when you're doing that, your focus is up there. So you're basically giving yourself a balance point. And you're not imbalanced because your head is not focusing down, and you're not pushing yourself in a position where you shouldn't be in. Okay? So here's the very first squat. This is the parallel squat. So you want to push your hips out like you're sitting on something. And then what I like to do is I like to put my hands in front of me like in a prayer stance. And you don't have to do this, but it's basically just something to, kind of like to balance yourself out. So you're going to hit your squats, hands in front, push your butt back as far as you can, parallel, and then push back up. Okay? So again, knees, feet, only shoulder length apart. You turn your toes out a little bit. Front of your toes out a little bit, and then your hands in front, push your hips out, push back, push your hips out, push back up. Okay, that is a parallel squat. Now when you're doing the bucket squats, of course the bucket squats are a lot lower than that. This is a point there where you want to say like you want your butt to actually touch your calf muscles, and this is when you actually know you are in the bucket. Now, like I say, these kind of squats actually do great wonders for your quads, your quadriceps. Now, when you get to a more advanced part, then you can take your feet out a little beyond the shoulder range, and then do those squats. You get more comfortable with doing it. Yeah, you want to take it and put the barbell on your neck and then squat from that point, and maybe even use dumbbells or a kettlebell. But try to first initially start out with taking away all of those devices or those vices from you that may impede your progress as far as doing your exercise correctly. So that is the very first thing you want to do. Start out with no weights. No weights at all, regardless of what someone tells you, regardless of somebody that knows what they're doing from the beginning. So you want to start out with doing no exercise. Start out doing no weights at all with doing these exercises. Have always been my technique, my pet peeve when I was actually exercising, training all my clients, is that I always started out doing the exercises, trying to get them familiar with the exercise, familiar with the form of doing the exercise first, before I actually did any weights, before I added anything onto that. All right. So this is the second one. The second one is what they call the bucket squat, below parallel. Okay. So still hands in the front, feet still shoulder length apart. And you're going to take your hands and leave them here, and you're going to push your hips back just as you did on the first one. You're just going to drop a lot lower, and you should see my butt hit my calves. And if not, they're going to be very close to it, okay? All right, here we go, guys. All the way down and then back up. Push that. All the way down and back up. And again, guys, one more time. All the way down and back up. Good. Now, like I said, these squats are very good for your overall structure of your body, for your whole physique. There is science behind doing squats, behind getting your upper body bigger. Now, it is said throughout the known world of fitness that you can actually work your lower half, which is like doing squats, doing deadlifts, and can make progress on your upper body. You can actually grow your upper body. All right. But it's not vice versa with doing the upper body. You cannot do your upper body and allow your legs to grow. It's not going to work that way. But the factual part of the science of it is that you can actually do your lower part and make your upper part grow. Why? Because you're actually using and you are incorporating a lot more muscle groups than you are when you're doing the upper body. You incorporate less muscle groups when you're doing the lower half. So the lower half, you're incorporating a lot more muscles. You're doing you're doing your legs, you're doing your core muscles, you're doing your back muscles, you're doing your biceps, you're doing your triceps. You're tightening. Everything is really, really, really tight. And you're making sure that stance is a stance that you need to have throughout the whole exercise. You don't want to start at the beginning and being tight and then loosening up at the end, because at the end it's like starting over if you start that at the end. You want to make sure that you're constantly doing this. Make sure you critique this exercise, this form, throughout your whole time exercising. Anytime you start swinging or off that path of that form, you want to reel yourself back in and get back on that path of that form. And the reason being, because once you start veering off that path and you start doing the same exercise over and over and over again, and you are making no corrections to the wrong that you have done on the form of this exercise, it is going to lead down the road of long-term injuries and problems for you guys. So we want to make sure that we stay on point with these exercises, especially you beginners. Now, I'm going to be going out doing more exercises and more